that has not been patient in recent years. We're going with the Las Vegas Raiders as Pete Carroll mutually agreeing to part ways with the Raiders. Unfortunately, it kind of makes sense because Pete Carroll came in probably thinking he could get this ship, and they were the worst team in the league. He's way too old for a rebuild, and frankly, the Raiders, they're not really that close at this point, unfortunately. On paper, they looked nice to start the year, but unfortunately, that is the opposite. So, Kelsey, we're going to let you lead the way with this one as well. Silver and black, who's taking the helm?
All right, so I haven't put John Harbaugh anywhere, and it feels like this is the last chance I have to put him somewhere. I'm not putting him on the Raiders. I think there's I think there's just too much dysfunction. I also think there's going to be a head coach position after the season that's going to come open. It's not often that happens, but it does happen. So there are certain teams that just whatever reason, refuse to let a head coach go before the playoffs are done. So I do think there's going to be one more. That's probably where Harbaugh ends up at. I don't think it's here, so I'm not going to include him in this. Again, I'm going to their interview list. And one guy who, again, I feel like has had a great opportunity to interview anywhere and has had great things said about him. And we've seen him as a wide receiver coach, a DB coach, defensive coordinator now. Vance Joseph.
I like it.
I feel like Vance Joseph has been in the league long enough and proved himself many times over. And now with the Broncos as a Broncos DC, he's proven he can lead a defensive position group, an entire team, and do well with them. And again, the Broncos wouldn't be where they are if they didn't have a good defense. Like, don't get me wrong, Bo Nix has been great. They've outperformed offensively what you'd expect, but that defense has been outstanding. Obviously, there's a lot of really talented players over there, but it still takes somebody to lead a team like that. So Vance Joseph, to me, has proven he can lead some of the biggest divas in a wide receiver room. Remember Odell was in one of his wide receiver rooms and took him to a Super Bowl. So, I think you look at this as a DC going into head coach and going to the Raiders. Like, your offense needs a lot of help, but your defense probably needs more, and you need to have somebody who's going to get along with Maxx Crosby. And I think Vance Joseph and Maxx Crosby are a match made in heaven. So I think that'll be very fun to watch. So give me Vance Joseph on this one.
I do like Vance Joseph, and I think he does speak. What is very interesting is how he was the head coach for the Broncos, got fired, and then came back as the defensive coordinator. So obviously they think highly of him. He thinks highly of them too. So obviously there's a good match there from things that we can't always tell. So I like that fit for sure. And keeping him in division would be fun.
Yeah.
This is where I'm gonna pull one out that we talked about earlier. We're gonna put Kevin Stefanski with the Raiders for a lot of the same reasons you said. You have the running back in Ashton Jeanty. He could be your Nick Chubb. Feed him a billion times. You have Brock Bowers, who we know how much he loves play action. Find David Njoku, find the tight end. Doesn't get any better than Brock Bowers besides Trey McBride, arguably. They already need receiver help, and Kevin Stefanski's offense hasn't always been like number one receiver friendly per se. We know the Odell issue. I mean, we know that issue. So in that case, they're going to be better by committee. We remember in Minnesota, Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs was like, no, get me out of here. So I think there could be some work there. He knows how to coach up and build an offensive line, as we saw in Cleveland, especially through those early years. That offensive line got really strong. So I think he knows what it takes to build through there, which they need. And if it is Mendoza, number one overall pick, which I presume it is at this particular point on January 7th, anything could change. It could be Dante Moore. I hope Dante Moore returns to Oregon, honestly. I think one more year he's going to be extremely awesome, but I digress. So we'll say it's Mendoza. I think that's the kind of coach you'd want for Mendoza early on with those weapons. Let him develop it. The Raiders have gone the young upstart coach with like Antonio Pierce, Josh McDaniels, and have failed miserably. They went the very old season guy with Pete Carroll and have failed miserably. Split the difference to get the experienced middle-aged guy in his 40s and give that a try. We can do coach of the year, whether you like him or not. Either way, he was in position to get those awards. He's been to the playoffs twice with the Browns. We'll leave it that way, which no one else can say. So I'm not saying he's the best coach. I'm saying the Raiders could do a lot of good with the Raiders. And you never know. He is weirdly inept at getting to the playoffs as the bottom feeder of a very good division. So maybe that could be the thing in a couple of years. It's like, oh, wow, look at that. They somehow stumbled into the playoffs. And then they beat their rival in a white random shootout or something. So I think it could be a weirdly good fit for them, assuming they have to get quarterback that he wants. I think it'll be the first time he gets a quarterback he wants to, because it sounds like in Cleveland, it was always a mess from day one. Baker wasn't really the guy they drafted. Then there was obviously some tension there. Then he gets stuck with the albatross of Deshaun Watson. And then Joe Flacco it's been a mess from day one there. So in this case, you get to start relatively fresh with some good young weapons. And the quarterback where you tell the GM, this is the guy I think works best.
Yeah, no, I like that. I think again, for me, he was just a better fit for the Giants. I think that's for a lot of the
Can't
same
go wrong
reasons.
either way.
Where, yeah, I think it works. I think your point about the receivers is very important though, because Stefanski has never been able to develop receivers. He's really good at having the average NFL receiver be his number one receiver, and
He's
that's
good with
that's
those receivers like a Jarvis, who's a possession receiver you can kind of
yeah.
target a lot, but that can get naturally flow targets, but isn't your big like he's so good as schematically with the run game and the play action off of it, but like the traditional spread pass, I think is where you can see some of the weakness where you force feed a Stephon Diggs and Odell, where they are the focal point per se.
Yeah, I mean, thinking historically, a Hines Ward type receiver is great, who blocks well and
Gosh, he'd
can
have a
run quick
boner
routes.
over Hines Ward.
Yeah,
Getting him on
but like,
crack blocks or outside zone, my God.
yeah, modern day, I mean, you're looking more of like you said, the Jarvis style, or even like a Hunter Renfro style, or what's already there. Jacoby Myers, when he was there, were great picks for the Raiders.
Like,
Like,
can we
obviously,
trade for him back now that Kevin's
yeah,
back? They
like
should they should send that to the Jaguars. Can we get him back, please?
like you need his receivers are going to have to do the dirty work. And I hate to say it, but he has the tight ends that he would love to have. He's had some great tight end rooms in Cleveland, so it would make sense to have great ones in Vegas with him. You start out with Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer, so congratulations, you're 2 steps ahead of the game. Yeah, I don't hate this one at all. I think this is a good fit for him. If he had made it past the Giants and where I was thinking, then yeah, I definitely would have put him here. I don't think Harbaugh goes here either. Like I said, so yeah, Stefanski would be a great in between the super seasoned veteran and the new upstart coach.